Long ago, in a bustling desert-edge town called Kumbi Soro, there lived a merchant called Bakari. Bakari, the wealthiest merchant in Kumbi Soro, built his fortune not through skill, but through cunning. His market stall overflowed with shimmering fabrics, fragrant spices, and trinkets from caravans that crossed the desert. Yet he always wanted more. To stretch profit, he shortened his measures. To increase earnings, he raised prices at the scent of desperation. Even the town elders whispered, "Bakari's heart is measured in coins, not kindness." Still, the merchant walked with pride, believing that fortune favored only the clever and that his cleverness was unmatched. But greed has a sound, sharper than the clang of metal. The people of Kumbi Soro spoke of Bakari's tricks, and their complaints drifted like smoke into the ears of beings far older than any human. One blistering afternoon, an elderly woman in dusty robes muttered to a companion about a spirit said to grant power to the ambitious, but always at a cost. Bakari, who had been pretending to sweep his stall while eavesdropping, froze. A spirit that grants wishes? His heart quickened. When dusk fell and the marketplace emptied, the merchant set off toward the direction he had overheard, toward a path nobody wise dared walk after dark. Under the moon's cold glow, the desert path forked into three. The wind whispered warnings, and the trees rustled as if alive. Each path seemed identical except for faint signs carved into the sand. Bakari chose the darkest one, reasoning that treasure was always hidden where others feared to tread. At the path's end stood a towering, ancient baobab tree with a hollow that pulsed with faint light. Inside sat a small child with glowing amber eyes, legs dangling as though waiting for a late guest. Bakari shivered, not from cold, but from the presence of something far from human. The childlike figure introduced himself as Ngala, a trickster spirit older than the dunes. When Bakari demanded wealth, Ngala gazed at him with unnerving amusement. "All who come here want more than they deserve," the spirit said, voice echoing like wind through a calabash. "What will you offer in return?" Bakari, believing himself cleverer than any spirit, replied, "Anything that isn't too important." Ngala smiled, a smile too ancient for such a young face, then snapped his fingers. A swirl of shimmering dust enveloped Bakari. "Your wish is granted," Ngala whispered, "and your payment will come later." Bakari returned to town and found his humble stall transformed into a grand pavilion of luxury. Spices carried deeper aromas than any ever known, and every fabric glowed as though woven with trapped sunlight. People flooded to his stall, from shepherds to nobles, from travelers to town chiefs. They bought eagerly, for his goods seemed touched by magic. His wealth surged faster than the desert wind. He built a grand home with wide courtyards, bought caravans of camels, hired servants, and filled every room with gold ornaments and polished ivory. But with great fortune came even greater arrogance. Bakari began wearing gold rings on every finger and fine robes even during the harshest heat. He spoke down to townsfolk, laughed at the elders, and turned every conversation toward how much richer he was becoming. Yet in moments when he sat alone surrounded by coins, an unease flickered in his chest. The spirit's words, "Your payment will come later," echoed like drum beats at dusk. Still, he waved the thought away. Spirits, he thought, were easily fooled. And he was certain he had tricked Ngala. One morning, while Bakari was examining new bolts of enchanted cloth, Ngala appeared atop a stack of gold like a perched bird. The merchant stumbled back, heart racing. The spirit, swinging his legs casually, announced, "Bakari, the time for payment has arrived." Panic washed over the merchant. He rushed to protect his gold. "Not this! Take something else!" he cried. But Ngala shook his head gently. "I do not want your gold." Bakari then ran to his caravans. "Not my camels," he pleaded. Again, Ngala refused. "I do not want your animals." Desperate, Bakari offered his land, his shop, even his fine house, but Ngala's glowing eyes remained calm. "You misunderstand," the spirit said. "I take only what you value most." Confused, Bakari insisted that his wealth was what he valued most, but the spirit tapped the merchant's chest with a single glowing finger. "No, Bakari, you value your greed above all things, and so I take your greed." With a soft snap of his fingers, a cool wind swept through the shop. Gold turned to sand. Spices evaporated. Fabrics dulled into tattered rags. Caravans vanished like mirages. In a matter of heartbeats, Bakari lost everything. As the dust settled, Bakari stood trembling among the ruins of his former glory. But something curious stirred inside him. Silence, where greed once lived. Instead of anger, a strange clarity filled him. The hunger for more, the constant scheming, the restless ambition, all gone. He felt lighter, like a man freed from chains he never realized he wore. When he reopened his original small stall, his hands measured cloth honestly for the first time. His prices were fair, and his smile, for once, reached his eyes. At first, people approached cautiously, unsure whether the greedy merchant had truly changed. But day after day, Bakari proved himself humble and genuine. Customers became friends, traders trusted him. Elders even praised him for showing wisdom at last. Though he never regained magical riches, Bakari earned something far more valuable: peace, respect, and a heart free from the weight of greed. As for Ngala, the trickster spirit was said to watch from afar, smiling knowingly, proud that one more human had learned a lesson that even gold cannot buy. Moral: greed gives quickly, but wisdom gives forever. Subscribe for more stories and click the notification button to get more tales.